45 days is, but that's shorter than the World Cup. That's nothing. Playtime is over. Regardless of what the government does in terms of the changes they bring in, the question is always, what's the opportunity here?
Yeah.
Where's the opportunity?
Recently,
Super
as in last week, bro.
Super changes.
Bro, they
right?
just dropped the
Talking
bomb on
about
everyone.
Backroom deals, bro. Backroom deals.
Talk about
Elbow
what
and his
are the
mates
changes?
at the green, hanging
Mate,
out.
This guy's just throwing punches at everyone.
Not just that, he made all the promises. I promise.
Broken promises,
Broken
promises.
I will make no changes to negative gearing. No changes.
So he said he wasn't going to make changes to Super too? Or I know you said it around negative gearing.
Negative gearing capital gains tax was off the cards. No, Super was never on the cards.
Yeah, that's right.
It was never, ever on the cards. But the Labor government needed more votes to get, they needed the Greens basically to greenlight the budget to get it through. And the Greens are like, well, you have to do this. So what did they just bring in? They just made it, you can, if you have a self-managed super fund, after about mid-August, you won't be able to loan money to buy residential property inside of your self-managed super fund. You can still buy residential property, but you just have to buy it outright. Right? So what does that mean? So prior to the middle of August, to buy a $600,000 property, residential property, you probably need maybe 150 grand.
Yeah, of super. Yeah, that's
Inside
your money.
150,000, right? After middle of August, you probably need about maybe 635,000 to buy the same $600,000 property,
and that's your own money.
Yeah. So that's just off the cards for most people. What you can do though is you can still loan and borrow money to buy commercial property. Okay. So that's there'll be an increase in commercial property purchases, 100%.
As of now, is it very common? People are utilizing that strategy around. Have families been utilizing the strategy to loan money from the bank in the SMSF to buy residential property? Yeah,
100%. It's actually gaining a lot of traction. When this first happened, the big question for me is, because normally you can see who is the government actually trying to help here.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Who's the government trying to help?
Themselves?
No, but when the government is going, we're going to make these changes, we're going to make it harder for investors to buy.
Yeah.
They can't buy existing properties. If they want to get negative gearing, they've got to buy new properties. Okay, well, we still want investors to buy new properties because that'll create housing supply.
Yeah, building more.
And it stops investors from competing against people who want to buy their own home.
First-time buyers.
And people who are upgrading or whatever.
Okay.
Right? So now they're buying new properties.
Yep.
So you can see, okay, they're trying to help first-time owners. They're trying to help people who are trying to buy houses. That makes sense, right? I don't agree with it, but at least you can see it makes sense.
Makes sense.
Whereas this one, superannuation funds, what if they were consistent, they would have said, superannuation funds can only buy new properties.
But it's not the case.
But that's not the case. They say, no, they can only buy commercial properties. So who does this help? Right? The people that are laughing right now.
Yeah, who does this benefit?
These guys. Right? These guys. The large Australian super funds, that are worth close to $1 trillion, whatever it is, right? So the huge super funds, they're the winners. Because what happens is people are buying, properties.
What has been happening is a lot of people.
Well, people withdraw their funds from there and they go and set up their own self-managed super fund. Yeah. So what happens is now.
Whoa, hold up. Where's it going?
Exactly. Because I was like, man, aren't the Greens and Labor meant to help the little guy? Why would they be helping the big end of town?
Wow.
I was like, that doesn't even make sense.
It's crazy.
And the way that they brought it in, 45 days, normally they'll go, with the other changes, they come in 1st of July next year. So they're doing a year. This one is straight away, instant, 45 days. 45 days is...
Cut everyone from withdrawing all their super.
But that's shorter than the World Cup. You know what I mean? That's nothing.
Wow.
What's happening right now, we are getting an absolute tsunami of people that are like, Massey.
Let's go.
With the students. They're like, Massey, let's set up a super fund. Massey, I've got enough funds. Can I buy a second property? I want to get in and do all of this stuff before we
leveraging the
So 45 days has meant there's a hard fixed timeline. Let's move. Timelines create outcomes.
Yeah, that's right.
And then there's going to be a huge skew towards commercial properties. From our perspective, we see one of the smart plays in commercial being like childcares.
Yeah.
Childcare centres.
Opportunity.
Huge opportunity. Really, really good, solid income.
Someone's going to look after the kids.
Mate, from what we see in people's budgets, how much money they're
Yeah,
spending
you're
on
seeing
childcare. Bro, childcare ain't cheap. It ain't cheap. It's so expensive. People are like, is it even worth working the second job?
Yeah, that's right.
That's
true.
how expensive it is.
Yeah.
You know? And, but so childcare is definitely a smart play that we're looking into. That's, and so it's always like, the way I see it, regardless of what the government does in terms of the changes they bring in, the question is always, what's the opportunity here?
Yeah.
Where's the opportunity? So the first opportunity, anyone who wants to own residential property inside of their self-managed super fund, go now.
Now.
Right? Playtime's
Yesterday.
over. Playtime is over. And so people are making fast decisions, good decisions, get into the market ASAP. Then the next play is, how do we utilize our self-managed super funds to acquire commercial properties?
Yeah.
And where are the best commercial properties? And what does that actually look like?
Yeah.
And like I said, so we really like childcare centres, 100%. And that'll be a play that gets made moving forward.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. So is a self-managed super fund to acquire property still practical?
An option, yeah.
Yeah, the answer is
Building
yes.
wealth.
Yeah, it's still build wealth, still acquire properties. Yeah, definitely. But things change. I saw a question in our Facebook group page today.
Yeah.
And one of the questions was, can we buy other things other than, can we
Super,
invest in
even
other
the
things
super?
in our super?
Self-managed super fund, yeah.
Yeah, and so, you can invest. You know, you can invest in
Like,
most
what are we talking about?
things.
Bitcoin, crypto?
Yeah, so so if you look at the simple stuff, obviously shares. So most Australian supers in shares.
Shares, yeah.
Right? They put it into shares. So shares is one. Second is like bonds. And that's a little bit more complicated. Most people don't really understand bonds.
Yeah.
But there's normally government bonds or company bonds. You're buying the debt and they promise you a return on that debt. So they're bonds. And then, people can also look, ETFs, derivatives, gold, Bitcoin, collectibles, art, cars, whatever it may. Yeah. You can, if it's an investment, you can invest in it with your super. You can't just go buy a nice fancy car. Oh yeah, then what? Driving the car around. You can't do anything like that. You can't get a benefit today, but the opportunity to invest is broad, right? But our fundamental belief is property is the surest thing.
Yeah.
That's our position. That's why we're teaching about property. We believe in it. That's where we put all our money. Property. So that's kind of the super conversation.
Yeah.
Big changes that only benefit the big end of town that make no sense, guys.
But it's causing a lot of people to take action and people are moving right now.
Yeah. But that's the near term effect,
leverage.
short term right now, right? But the longer term effect is there's going to be less properties for rent.
Which makes it, coming back to the first part of our
So
conversation.
you guys at the start that are going to try and save more
The
money
rent,
to buy a property,
rent going
your
up.
rent just went up again.
Yeah.
Bro, who you helping, bro?
Yeah. So
Who
this
you
kind of
helping?
comes back to getting into the property market.
150%.
And leveraging government grants, leveraging the buyer's market.
Yep. So my prediction is interest rates are going to go down.
Yeah?
Yeah, interest rates are going to go down. The economy is softening. There is a lot of data coming out that it's
Petrol prices have come down.
Bro, in the 40s, bro.
$1.30.
You saw $1.30?
In Ingleburn, right next to the chapel. We're close to it. 139.99.
139.99. Take a jerry can, guys.
Let's
Take a
go.
jerry can. Get some.
Okay, so you believe the interest rates are going to be coming down, softening?
I believe we're at the top of the market. Other people are saying there's going to be two more. There's not.
Two more
interest rate rises.
rises?
There's not.
Yeah, the last one was
It's 4.35%. This is the peak of the market. It's going to come down from here. They put it on hold.
Yeah, the last one was on hold.
They might hold and hold and hold, but the next movement will be down. We are seeing divergence with the banks. So a couple of the big four drop their rates and a couple have increased their rates. Yeah, drop their rates already. So generally what they'll do is they'll drop the 3-year and 2-year fixed rates. And they'll drop.
So they're early signs that you see where the Reserve Bank,
future fixed rates for 2 years are going down because they think in 2 years' time the rate's going to be
and
low.
banks know everything.
Banks
they don't lose money.
Well, they bid early and they make their positions. They do make mistakes, but the reality is the economy is not great in Australia. Yeah, there's inflation, but all the inflation is coming from where?
The government.
Government spending. And what does the government want to do? Spend more. It's out of control, bro. It's like you're in the house and the parents are spending all the money and there's no food for the kids.
Yeah, and
what do the parents
getting
want to
more
do?
loans and
they
loans
just want
to
to go
live.
get more loans to do more things and they're still not feeding the kids. Like that's exactly what's happening in Australia.
Yeah, well.
So rather than the government acting responsible, cutting back spending and making some really good, smart, tough decisions, they're not willing to do that. So they're going to hold the interest rates and then they're going to drop them. That's the play, right? So money's going to be cheaper. We are in a buyer's market now.
Yep.
Eventually the buyer's market will move. Interest rates will be low. And the
Kaboom.
market's going to go, the market's going to go up again. Right? And so the people that win are the people that make big moves now in a down market.
Leverage everything, yeah.
Right? You just get in. So if you've got equity, get access to your equity, go find a great deal. Go find a great deal. If you're on great money, you probably want to get the incentives in terms of the negative gearing and that. So you probably buy new.
Buy new, yeah.
But the real play is yield. Look for properties that cover the costs.